All right. So in yesterday's session, we have seen the overview of Azure portal and what is the main difference between on-premise system and cloud system. So these all things we have seen, and along with that, we have also seen the hierarchy of Azure resources, or else we also call it as management level scopes. In today's session, I'll be discussing with you how to create creation of resource group and creation of blob storage and creation of data lake storage in our portal. Okay. So let it open. Meanwhile, I have told you, right, like what is a resource group is basically it is a logical container onto which different resources are deployed and managed. Coming towards storage accounts, like we have different kinds of storage accounts. So basically, why do you use these storage accounts? In order to store your data, in order to upload your data, read your data, you need a source and sink, right? Source and target, right? So you have to read the data from one location, and if you want to store the data onto another location, then you need storage accounts. Okay, so basically we have different types of storage accounts. What are they? We have blob storage, data lake storage. This is there, right? ADLS. This is nothing but Azure Data Lake Storage. This Gen2 means generation 2. So I'll be telling you how to create this resource group, and then what are the different types of storages are available, and different types of storages and creation of those different types of storages. Along with that, I'll also tell you the difference between blob storage and data lake storage. All right, so let me go to the resource group creation. So resource group, you're already aware of this. This is nothing but a container wherein you can hold, or it will basically related to the resources for which your Azure resources can be managed or deployed. So let me go back to our portal. Portal.azure.com. Okay, so here I have told you, right, like if you want, you can just go here, and based on that you have different kinds of services. So if you, whichever service you want, you can just go through that particular service and you can make use of, you can go ahead and create it. So today I'll show you how to create a resource group. So if you want to create a resource group, how can you create it? Arre baapre, only 8,000 credits are available. Just give him 1 minute, guys. Yesterday 12,000 credits were there. Seems like somebody is misutilizing those credits. So let me just quickly cross check it once again. Not this. Huh.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
this account will be different. I think yesterday we are using another one. I think it's a Siva something. It's not the same, credential that you're using.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. Siva Prasad. Mm. Arey yaar, what is this is Siva Prasad only. Let me try to open it from here also. Mm. Okay, this. Okay. Arey baba. If I don't switch that off now, the credits will be exhausted. Mm. built-in. See this Apache Spark pool. I'm sure somebody wouldn't have switched it off. Oi Subbu. Oi. ఓన్లీ 8,000 క్రెడిట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఎవరైనా పూల్స్ ఓపెన్ చేశారా? జల్దీ చూడు, ఇది ఏందో అవ్వట్లేదు, సరిగ్గా ఓపెన్ అవ్వట్లేదు. సజీవ్ది ఓపెన్ అవుతుంది శివప్రసాద్ అకౌంట్ నుంచి. ఓకే ఠీకే, my husband will take care of that. All right, so if you want, so here what is my intention? My intention is to create a resource groups. Okay, so how to create resource group? You can see here, these are all the recent activities. If you want, you can also click here, or else if you want, you can also go here and search for resource group, or else you can also go here and search for resource groups. So these are the different resource groups which were created. So let me show you how to create one. Create. Click on this create option. And then, okay, so even before that, let me show you one thing. So yesterday I have told you, right, like inside this management groups we have subscriptions. Inside subscriptions we have resource group. Inside resource group we have resources. That is the level of scope, right? So inside this management groups, actually we'll be having subscriptions. Okay, let me just. Okay, this is my subscription. The subscription name is free trial version. This is its ID. Role is admin role. Current cost is this much something. Okay, let me open it. So what have I told you? Inside the subscriptions we have resource groups, I've told you, right? So let me just scroll down and show you the resource group. Here if you see, this is nothing but your resource group. Okay, let's click on that. So inside the resource group, what are these? These are the different kinds of resource group which we have created. Okay, so inside the subscriptions we have resource groups. Okay, so actually this is under management group. So first hierarchy will be your management group. Second one will be your subscription. What is my subscription here? It is not a development or test or production. It is my free trial subscription. Since I have created it with my Gmail ID and credit card, it will be your free trial account which will be valid for 30 days. So this is my free trial account, and after that, inside that subscriptions, what do I have? I have resource groups. So these all are the different kinds of resource groups. So if you open one resource group, right, inside that you'll be having different resources. So these are the different resources which are available inside our resource group. Okay, so this is the hierarchy. If you just see here, subscriptions, resource groups, and these are resources. Okay, and this is the hierarchy. Subscriptions, resource group, resources. Now let me show you how to create a resource group. How to create it? You can either search it or you can also go here. So let me just click on create. Minimize it. Okay, as this is your free trial version, you can just choose this particular free trial version. After that, you can just specify some name for this particular resource group. My resource group will be this. And then region. So this region by default it is some East US. If you want, you can also change the region. That is not an issue. Whatever region you want, you can also specify that. Okay, so just to make sure that you are choosing your subscription and then resource group, just give some resource group which should be unique. If it is already existing, then it will say that it will throw you the error and you will not be able to create it. So if you want to create a resource group, you will have to give some unique name. Okay, so here you can see this tick mark, right? That means this name is not available and you can go ahead and create this particular resource group. Okay, what is the definition of this resource group? It is telling. All right, after that, let me click on next. Here, if you have created your resource group in some development system or test system or production system, if you want to understand it, so you can just make use of this here, environment, and then just specify some dev environment or test environment or whatever. Okay, this is optional. This is not a mandatory one, so you do not have to fill this. If you want, you can also specify it. Okay, so this is the environment, and this is development system or test or production, whatever system it is, you can just give that, and then review and create. See here, the validation is passed. That means I'm able to create it without any issues. If there are any issues, what will happen on that particular tab itself, here red symbol will be there, so that you can go to that particular tab and then correct it, and then next review and create it. Okay, so it is very simple. Next validation passed, create. Okay, is it fine, guys? Were you able to understand? So if you see here, resource group has been created. So if you see here, and this is the resource group which I have just created. All right. So inside that, we have different kinds of resources, right? Like blob storage we have, data lake storage we have. So I'll tell you about the blob storage and data lake storage, and then I'll tell you how to create that particular storage account and how to load data, how to upload data onto that blob storage or data lake storage. All right. So clear? Were you able to understand this resource group creation, guys?
Yes, ma'am. For me, it does.
Okay, so in projects, right, you will not be creating this resource group. Your admin team will be creating, but just since you want to practice it in our pre-trial version, right, it is always better to know. Okay, yeah. All right. So I have, what else I have here? I have my blob storage. Okay. So what is this blob storage? Blob storage is nothing but your binary large objects. Okay, blob, we call it as blob, blob storage. Blob storage means what? This is also a storage account. Okay, the full form of that particular storage account is binary large objects. All right, it is a binary large objects. So why do we use this storage account? So basically, if you want to, if you want to store massive amounts of, structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, at that point of time you will go with your Azure Blob storage account. Okay, so here what all you can do, here you can store structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. So structured data is what? Structured data will be your tables, tabular formats data will be present, right? That will be your structured data. Semi-structured data or unstructured data could be like audio files, video files, images, logs. So these all will come under that category. Okay, so basically you can store structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data, or else you can also store images, audios, videos, log files, configuration files. Here you can see, right, sensor data, IoT data. So this all you can store inside your particular blob storage account. All right. So if you want to make use of that particular storage account for these categories, images, audios, videos, these are all categories. This is nothing but anything is your data only, right? It might be in the format of audio, it might be in the format of video, images. So it is nothing but the data only. For the blob storage or for any particular storage, whatever data it might be, that is actually data only, correct? So here inside your blob storage, it is actually optimized for storing massive amounts of structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. What is blob again? It is a binary large object wherein you can store this kind of data. Okay, when anybody asks you what is a blob storage, you'll have to say this all related data we can store inside our blob storage. Okay, so that is one thing. And what else we have inside our blob storage? So basically, if you want to store any particular data or any particular file inside your blob storage account, right? So it will what we can say is it provides it is highly available, secure, durable. These are the features of this particular blob storage. So obviously we are storing data in a particular directory or a folder. That is because it is whenever we want we can access it, and it is highly secure, it is durable, scalable, redundant. So if we have these features only, we'll be able to store it, right? So the features are highly secure, available, scalable, redundant. What is this redundant? I'll tell you in a while. Okay, all right. So after that, this is also an important interview question. Okay, this is also an important interview question, so just pay attention to this. So in interviews they'll ask you what are the different types of blob storages you have, what is the difference between block blob and append blob, they'll be asking you. Just try to focus here. All right, so inside our blob, right, we have different kinds of blobs. Like we have three different types of blobs. What are they? Block, page, and append. Okay, so coming to this blob, here using this blob, right, we can store images, log files, binary data, text data. Okay, so this kind of data we can store inside your particular blob. Okay, by default this is the blob which we will be using. All right, so this is the default blob which we will be using out of this of these three, this is the default blob. Here, right, we can store data up to 100 MB. So if you want to upload a particular file, upload a particular data file, the file size could maximum be of 100 MB. Okay, you can upload a size of 100 MB file also. And if you are choosing a particular files under this particular blob category, right, that means it can store all together inside that particular blob folder. You can store up to 5 terabytes of data. Okay, so the whole folder size is 5 terabytes, and then each file size could be up to 100 MB. Okay, each file you can upload up to 100 MB, and the block folder can store up to 5 terabytes. Okay, so this is suitable for images, log files, and much more. All right, if you want to store binary data, images, log files, you can make use of this particular blob. All right, now coming to our append blob. What is this append blob? So this is the default blob I've told you, right? Blob. Coming to this append blob, it is a read-only blob. Okay, if you want to perform any kind of editing, you cannot perform it here. So I'll show you that also. Do not worry. So for now, just try to understand that here, right? If you want to upload any file, it can be a maximum of 4 MB only. Here we can store up to 100 MB each file. Here each file could be a maximum of 4 MB only. And what could the folder size be here? The folder size of this particular append blob will be up to 200 GB. Here we have 5 terabytes of data you can store. Here you can store only up to 200 GB. All right. So here basically you will be using this to it is basically for storages, like this is meant for read only folder. So read only folder is nothing but you cannot perform any kind of editing here. So if you want to do any editing to the file which is uploaded in the portal, you will have to download it, do the changes, and then upload it. So that is not the case inside your blob. I'll tell you that, do not worry. So we have another category, page blob also. So basically what is this page blob? Page blob is something like it is optimized for read only purpose and write only purpose. So here this is a special category. Inside this category we will be basically we'll be storing the data which is VHD files, we call them. Okay, so we have virtual hard drive related files, right? So that VHD related files we can store inside our page blob. Okay, so here under this category, if you choose under this category, it can grow up to 8 terabytes in size. It is what it is telling. So when do we prefer this? This is basically preferred for if you have any virtual machine kind of disk, VHD related file. So at that point of time we can go ahead and store under this particular category. Okay, it is basically used to store a random access files up to 8 terabytes in size. Right, so now let me go to the portal and show you this. So this hot, cool, and archive are there, right? I'll just come back to that in a minute. This is also an important interview question. Did anybody ping me? What is my resource group? This one. Minimize all. Okay, so after creating the resource group, this particular blob storage is present, right? Blob will come under what? It is present inside your storage account. Okay, so blob will reside inside your storage account. So let me create this particular storage account, and this particular things, these are all what? These are resources, right? So these resources will be present, which should be present inside your resource group. Okay, these are the different resources which should be available inside your resource group. So now let me try to show you how to create our blob storage account. This is used for what? To just store the data. Okay. All right, so you can just type here storage account. Just type storage account and then click on create. All right, so this is the storage account. If you just type the storage account, this is what the page will be displayed. Here choose the subscription. What is the subscription? It is your free trial version. And the resource group, if you have not already created your resource group, you can also create from here. If you have already created, you can just search and then search or browse it. Okay, so this is the resource group which I have just created some time back. I'm just making use of that. After that, storage account name. So basically you'll have to specify some storage account name. So let me give something called as blob December early morning batch. Okay, so remember one thing here. If you want to or uppercase, it will not allow. Okay, if you see here, it only contains lowercase letters and numbers. So just make sure whatever you're giving should be in lowercase. And then region, by default this is the default region which is selected. If you want to change it, you can also go ahead and change it. Okay, so performance, coming to this performance. So if you are, since this is a free trial version, there will not be a much difference in these two particular things. But if you are using in your client projects, right, if it is your development system or test system or production system, and if you are making use of this standard performance or premium performance, so if you use this particular standard performance, right, it is basically used for general purpose scenarios. Okay, so if you have any complex scenarios which needs, you know, multiple activities are present, and if you need to deal with huge amounts of data or something else is there, then you can go with this premium. So if you choose this one, there will be one pricing. If you choose this one, there will be a different pricing. So for this, obviously it will be a little lower compared to your premium. Premium will support different kind of cost will be there. Redundancy, I have told you, right, there is something called as redundancy. Redundancy means nothing but duplicating. Okay, so if you are trying to upload a file in a folder, if you are trying to upload a file in a folder, by default what does your data factory does? Your data factory will automatically create a duplicate of that. Okay, so and it will create a duplicate of that, and basically once it creates a duplicate, it will be storing in three different locations. Okay, either be it in a same local system, or else be it in different regions, three different regions or three different zones. So based on that, this these are there, right? LRS, GRS, ZRS. So inside these it will be distributing the data. Okay, so for now just try to understand that we have a concept called as redundancy. Redundancy means nothing but duplicating. If you store one single file in your blob storage, internally it will be duplicated, the file will be duplicated. So why will the file be duplicated? For security purpose. Okay, so if for storage purpose, like if you lose that particular file, automatically it can recover from another region, okay, or another zone. So based on the category you choose, so based on that your file will be stored. So suppose if you are choosing zone redundancy, okay, if you are choosing this particular zone redundancy, then the duplicates will be available in different zones. That means three different files will be stored in three different zones. So similarly, if you have ZZRS, so based on the category, the particular file will be stored in different regions or different zones or whatever. Okay, so just understand that redundancy is nothing but duplicating. So you can also leave it whatever it is there, that is also fine. You don't have to change it. Let me click on next tab. So here these all are again default settings which you do not have to change. Let me click on next, 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 review and create. Okay, here we do not do much. It's just that you'll have to browse your resource group, and then you'll have to, so you can just preview the data whatever you have specified. If it is correct or not, you can just go here and check. Yeah, so it is my free trial version. The resource group is name is this one. The location is this one. This is the storage account name. Okay, so this is what some few of the details which are from our previous tabs. If it is okay, if you are okay with this, then just go ahead and create it. It is very simple. Only few details you'll be giving, and you can create a storage account. So once you're trying to create it, what it will do internally, it will try to submit the deployment. Deployment will be in progress. Once it is deployed, you will be able to see that particular blob storage account created. So it will take few seconds. Let it take. Seems like only few people woke up. Okay, so if you see here, deployment is successful, and I can either go here, I've told you, right? So whatever activities you perform, you can see it under the notifications tab. Okay, so previously we have created a resource group, so that has been displayed. And then I have my this resource groups. Inside this resource group I have created one storage account, so that is also generated. Okay, you can see here, or else you can close it and directly you can go to your particular resource group. Okay, so this is your resource group. So if you see here, this is the name, this is the location, subscription ID, this coming to this access tag, I tell you in a while, do not worry about that. Okay, so these are the default settings which are available. So if you see here, these all are the different kinds of inside the particular storage account we have different categories, out of which we will be dealing with blob service. Okay, just click on this particular blob service. Click on this in container symbol is there, right? Container is nothing but your directory or a folder. So let me just specify some input container name. Okay, and then click on create. So what am I trying to do? I'm just trying to create a folder. So I have created a folder or a container. In our Azure terms, we call it as a container. Okay, let me click on this container, and here we can upload files. So let me show you how to upload files. Upload button, click on this files, select. So here you have different kinds of files, so you can just choose any particular file. One file if you want to choose, you can choose that, or else if you want to choose multiple files also, you can just choose that. Files, and I'm clicking on uploading. Okay, so this is how to upload a file inside your normal blob storage. So this is how you can upload it. So now I have told you, right, like we have blob, block blob, page blob, append blob. So let me show you how to upload a file under block category. Just choose a file, choose some file, open it. Here you have something called as advanced, so click that advanced tab. You have something called as blob type, right? I have three types of blobs: block, page, and append. And by default, if you do not choose any particular block type, it will be your block only by default. Okay, so if you see here, what have I told you? What is the maximum size for each file? The maximum size will be 100 MB, right? So this is your 100 MB file. So since if your file size is 100 MB, you can just choose this particular category and you can upload it. Okay, so that is with respect to your block, and then you can just specify some name here. Like for understanding purpose, let me give something called as block blob. Okay, this is some folder which I want to specify. So that means it will create this particular folder, and inside this folder this particular file is there, right? This file, employee file.csv, it will be uploaded inside your block folder. Okay, and then click on upload. See here, if you see here, one blob has been created. That is a folder. Inside that folder, what do you have? You have something called as employee file, because this was the file which you have chosen, right? So that is why this file has been created. Okay, so if you want to view that particular file, just click on there and click on edit. So this is the details, this is the content of that particular employee file.csv, okay, which is present inside your blob. All right, so this is how you can make use of your you can create your blob, and let me show you how to create your append blob. So let me go back. So inside this input container, just click on this container, and then you have what you have. I have blob, I have different kinds of files. Now let me show you how to create append blob. Just select a file, click on advanced, choose the category. What is the category now? Append category. Choose this append category, and then just observe the size. Here it is maximum 4 MB only. Okay, so previously for block category we had how much size? 100 MB size. So each file could be of 100 MB in block category. Here it could be 4 MB. Okay, so you can just go here and upload it. All right, so here you can just specify some name. So for understanding purpose I'm just giving append. This is just the folder. You can just click on this upload. So the file will be uploaded inside your append block category. Okay, so I will tell you the difference between block and append in a while. So meanwhile, let me also finish the other one. What is the other one? Click on upload page blob, right? The third one is, so just browse a file. But here the criteria should be VHD files only. Okay, if you have any VHD files like virtual drive files, so here you have, right? So this is not, the file size is hard disk image file. So if you want to store that particular hard disk image file, you can go ahead and make use of this particular category. Okay, if you directly upload it, it will not see, it will just throw you some warning. You cannot directly upload under that particular category. Okay, if you want to upload VHD files, right, you will have to open that and then choose the category as page blob. Okay, because page blobs are basically used for what? These are basically used for VHD files, right? Virtual hard drive files. So what is the maximum size here? It can grow up to 4 MB only. So the maximum size is 4 MB. Okay, so here you can just specify page blob. So here if you see, page blob size for this must be aligned to this. So this is just a sample file which we have taken. This is not a VHD file. Okay, we have just specified the extension of .vhd. So that is why it is showing like this, but actually it is having some requirements. So if you have that particular VHD file, you can very well go ahead and upload it inside this particular blob category. Okay, so if you try to do that, it will not allow you because it is grayed out. Okay, that is because there is some criteria. This is actually not a file, this is just an extension which we have given, so that is why it is throwing some error. Okay, so if you have any VHD file, you can go ahead and upload that inside your page block category. Now let me duplicate this tab and show you the difference between block and append blob. So let that open. Let me open my block blob. So let me open this particular file, employee file.csv. Here if you see this edit option is there, right? So the main difference between block and append blob is if you want to add any particular column. So I have said this 12th row I have. If I want to delete it, I can delete it. I can copy this one and I can perform any kind of editing. Okay, so I'm just adding 10, 13. Okay, 3 more records I'm adding. Something, I'm just adding something. So if you want to perform any kind of editing in the portal, remember we are in the Azure portal. Okay, we are in the Azure portal and using, if it is under this particular block category, you can directly perform your changes inside your block category. Okay, so once you performed your changes, you can save it. So the file will be saved. Okay, so 3 records we have added, right? Coming to this append category, let me show you the append category also. Go back to your input container, go to your append blob, open the file which is present here, click on edit. If you edit it, it will show that only blobs can be edited from the portal. Okay, so this is an append category and you cannot, basically edit this from your portal. If you want to edit this from your portal, what can you do? You will have to download it. Okay, you will have to download the file and perform your editing onto that file and then again come and upload it. Okay, so that is how you can perform your editing. Is it clear, guys? Were you able to understand these 3 differences? Sometimes they'll ask you this question in interviews, so it's just better to have an idea of it. Okay, clear?
Yes, ma'am. But for the page block, what kind of a data we can expect in this
VHD
VHD
file,
files?
yeah, virtual hard drive related files.
Like what kind of data we can, see in that?
Wahi Baba, VHD files, you will be having different categories of files, right? So in similarly, we
Okay.
have something called as a VHD file also that will be available. So if you have that, you can go ahead and you can also go to Google and see for sample VHD files. Okay, just try to download. If there are any VHD files, hard drive related images, so these all are there, right? So if you want, you can also go ahead and try downloading one, okay, if it is possible. ठीक है ना?
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Yeah.
That is
Thank you.
just a file which will have some virtual hard drive related information. So that is about our different kinds of types of blobs. Coming to our this okay, so along with this particular, let me show you that. Let me go back to my directory is nothing but your input container. Inside that I have some file. Let me open this block, or else let me do one thing. Let me go back here, try to upload one new file. Here I'll show you. So when you're trying to upload some file, right, here you'll have something called as access tier. Okay, so here you have something called as access tier, right? So you have hot, cool and archive tier. This is also an important interview question. For what are the different kinds of tiers which you have inside blob storage, they'll be asking you. So basically we have three different types. What are there? Hot, cool and archive. So when to use what, I'll tell you. So hot tier is there, right? Hot access tier. I have written the data here. See here, so we have something called as hot access tier. When do we use this hot access tier? This is basically frequently accessed data. Okay, if you choose this particular hot tier category, inside this hot tier category you can access the data frequently. Okay, if you want to store the data on a daily basis, okay, if you want to upload the data on a daily basis, you can use this particular hot tier category. So since you're storing the data on a daily basis, here the storage cost will be increasing. Okay, so this is the one which you'll have to remember. If you want to make use of the data, if you want to upload the data, or if you want to access the data on a daily basis or frequently, we will go with the hot tier. When do we go with cool tier? Cool tier is like, this is not so frequently used data. So here whatever data we'll be storing, right, it will be available for like 30 days or more than 30 days. So once in 30 days if you want to store the data, you can make use of this particular cool tier. Okay, so here coming to this particular cool tier, right? 1 minute guys. Okay, so inside this particular tier, if you want to store the data for like 30 days, then we'll basically go with this cool tier. Okay, this is not so frequently used data, and here it will be stored for like 30 days or more than 30 days. Here, since you are storing it for like 30 days period of time, the storage cost will reduce and the access cost will increase. So what is this access cost? Access cost is nothing but if you want to perform any read activity or write activity, we call it as accessing, right? So in order to access the data also, we'll have something called as access cost. Okay, so that thing you'll have to remember. And coming to the last tier, what is the last tier? It is your archive tier. So when do you use this archive tier? So this is basically used for archival purpose. Okay, if you want to store the data for like 180 days or more than 180 days, at that point of time you can choose this particular category. Okay, here since you are storing it for 180 days, you are not retrieving all the time, right? So you are just storing it once and you are just leaving it like that. You are not frequently accessing it. Okay, so here the storage cost will be lowest of all the three tiers. Okay, because you are just storing it for once and then you're leaving it. It will be available like that only. So you're not frequently accessing it. So that is why the storage cost is low. So what are the examples coming to this particular tiers? So the best examples are, so if you want to, so basically when do we use this cool tier? So this is actually used for short-term backups or disaster recovery data will be present, right? So for short-term backups and disaster recovery data, if you want to store it, you can store it inside your cool tier. Okay, coming to this archive tier, when do you use this archive tier? So this is basically used for long-term backups, secondary backups or archival data. For short-term purpose, you will be using this particular tier. For long-term backup and for secondary backup related kind of storages, you will be using your archive tier. So the data, if it is stored here, it will be accessible for like more than 180 days. Clear, guys? Were you able to understand? Because this is an important interview question which can be expected. Okay, na?
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
All right, so that is about your blob storage. So now let me tell you about data lake storage. So along with this blob storage, we have something called as data lake storage. So let me write that for you. We have something called as ADLS Gen 2, I have told you, right? Okay, let me show you in the PPT itself. Data lake generation 2. Okay, so if you see here, the ADLS Gen 2 means Azure Data Lake Storage. So Azure Data Lake Storage Generation 2. Gen 2 means Generation 2. So previously we had Generation 1 also, but now this is no longer used. So you do not have to worry about this Generation 1. Okay, so if you try to create this Generation 1 storage account also, you cannot create it because it will be replicated in few years. In couple of years, it will be replicated and you will no longer be using. So whatever projects are using this generation 1, right, they are migrating to Gen 2. Why is that? Because generation 2 is nothing but it is the combination of generation 1 plus blob storage. That means this generation 2 will have the features of generation 1 and along with that the features of blob storage. So why, when you have blob storage, why do we have to go with this data lake storage? That is because actually here we have this, in this blob storage, right, I have told you, right, if you want to upload a particular file, we have some limitation. If you want to upload a file inside one category of suppose if you are uploading inside blob category, you have some storage limitation, right? Only till that amount of storage you can store it. So that there are few limitations with your blob storages. So you can only store limited amount of data. So if you want to make use of if you want to store data unlimitedly, you can go ahead with your Azure Data Lake storage. So why do we use this data lake generation 2 storage? This is basically optimized for big data purpose. Okay, it is optimized for big data analytics workload. So here inside our blob storage, right, we cannot create let me show you that we cannot create multiple directories. Okay, so this is the main directory. Inside this particular directory there is nothing called as add directory option, that is not available. So forget about these directories because these are categories and not directories. Okay, so how will the directory be? If you want to create another directory, you should have something called as add directory or create directory. So that option you do not have. That means you can create one directory and inside that you can upload any number of files. But if you want to create any other directory inside your parent directory, which is your input container, you cannot do that because you do not have the option itself. That is because your blob storage will support flat namespace. Okay, your blob storage will support flat namespace. That means only one directory could be present. Inside that directory you can upload different kinds of files, but you cannot do the nesting. Okay, inside parent directory you cannot have a child directory. Inside that child directory you cannot have a other child directory. So that feasibility is available inside our data lake generation 2. So inside this ADLS Gen 2, right, like you can create a folder called as input container. Inside that you can create a folder called as 2021. Inside that you can create a December folder. Inside that you can create a date folder. Inside the date folder you can just upload any number of files. So that is called as hierarchical namespace. So in data lake generation 2 we have that hierarchical namespace option available, whereas in our blob storage we do not have that. We have only flat namespace. All right, so here also you can store any number of data like structured data, unstructured data, whatever data you have, you can store it. It's just that there is no limitation on this particular storage account. You can store unlimited amount of data, but the difference between the blob storage and data lake storage is like the particular blob storage, right, there you can store like if you want to retrieve anything or else if you want to access that particular storage account, it is cheaper. Blob is cheaper compared to data lake. This data lake is costlier approach. Okay, because it will have no restriction and it has different kinds of features, right? Basically if you want to upload GBs of data or TBs of data and if you want to process the data, you can do that once the data is stored inside your data lake generation 2. Okay, just remember generation 2 is optimized for big data. Big data means huge amounts of data. You can store any kind of data. Here the storage cost would be costlier. Okay, blob storage cost is cheaper, data lake storage cost is costlier. Just remember that. Okay, there is no restriction on the file size or the number of files. You can store unlimited amount of data here. ठीक है ना? So that is your data lake storage. These are some of the features of your data lake storage. So this data lake generation 1 I have told you, right? So generation 1 will actually replicate on 29th February 2024. So till then you can make use of it. But if you try to create one today, you cannot create it because it will be soon retired. So this what Azure has done is it has it is not making us create this particular generation 1. Okay, so do not worry about this creation of generation 1. So you only have to create generation 2 and blob storage and make use of those two. All right. So generation 1 is also same, generation 2 is also same. It's just that in generation 1 we do not have blob storage features. So you must be wondering what are these blob storage features. So just now I have told you regarding the tires, right? Hot tire, cool tire and archive tire. So based on this particular hot, cool and archive tire, we'll be having some storage cost. Okay, so if you Google it, right, or else I guess I have it in some document. Don't know where that particular document is available. Let me quickly see if I have that document available so that I can show you. No, I don't know where I have that particular so based on the particular tire, for hot tire it will be one price, for cool tire it will be one price, for archive tire it will be one price per hour. Okay, so for some amount of data, if you are choosing under this particular category, there will be some storage cost. If you choose this category, there will be some other storage cost. So similarly for archive tire. So these features are available inside your generation 2. Why is that? Because these are the blob features. Blob, which data lake is nothing but generation 2 is nothing but combination of generation 1 and blob storage. So what are the blob features it is taking? It is taking this. Okay, so using this it can store the data in a little lesser cost. Okay, if it does not have this kind of thing, and if we only have generation 1, right, then we will have to pay some more, like the money for that particular storage account will be more. So since it is making use of these tires also, it is a little less compared to the generation 1. Okay, so for every tire there will be some cost assigned, so that cost we can check in the portal. Okay, is it clear, guys? So now let me quickly tell you how to create our data lake generation 2. So for that, let me just go to my resource group. What is the resource group? This is the one. Minimize it. So if you see here inside the resource group, I have created my blob storage, right? Previously I have created my blob storage. Now I'll tell you how to create data lake storage. So remember one thing, if you want to create blob storage or data lake storage, what you can do, you can just make use of storage account itself. Okay, there is one option which needs to be checked for generation 2. Okay, I'll show you that particular one option. It is also very simple. In order to create your generation 2, you should go to your storage account. So let me go to my storage account. storage storage account, browse for storage account, click on create. So free trial version, choose your resource group. My resource group is December early morning. If you do not have, you can also create new. Just specify the name here. Let me give ADLS Gen2 December morning, not morning. I have another morning batch, early morning batch. Okay, so standard tire, premium tire, these all are there. Click on next. So here this is where you have one option which needs to be checked. So what have I told you? Generation 2 will basically support hierarchical namespace, right? So if you check this option, this will be your data lake generation 2. If you uncheck this option, it will be your blob storage. Okay, so if you want to enable it for data lake generation 2, you will have to click this. That's it. You do not have to do any change. This is the only change which you will be doing for data lake generation 2. If you want it for Gen 2, check this. If you want it for blob, do not check this. Simple. And then click on next, next, next. Review and create. Validation passed, create. So meanwhile, let me open my blob storage here. Okay, so this is your blob storage, right? So I'll show you the difference also. Let it get deployed. So here also you can just store huge amounts of data. Okay, here it is optimized for big data. So let me go to the resource group. It has been deployed. So previously, if you observe, we had something called as for blob. We had blob storage, and there we had hierarchical namespace disabled. Since this is for data lake generation 2, we have data lake storage and hierarchical namespace as enabled. Okay, so let me click on this data lake. And then here you have container. Just create some container, input container, click on create. So if you see this, just observe, you have add directory option here, and this is my blob, and here you do not have add directory option. Okay, inside your generation 2 you have add directory option. Let me create, save it. Inside this I can create another directory, which could be your December. Inside that you can create another directory, which could be your 31st. And then if you want to upload, you can upload in any directory, not an issue. So let me upload it in the child directory. Upload it. Upload. Okay, so this is how your data lake generation 2 will look like. ठीक है ना? Is it clear, guys? Were you able to understand what is the difference
Yes,
between
ma'am.
blob storage, data lake storage? How do you create blob, data lake? What are the different access styles? These all I have told you, right? Yeah, so let me stop the recording. Let me know if you have any doubts.